have a friend of mine. Most of you know him. They used to have one of the biggest churches in Houston, Texas. Their youth department used to be very vibrant and very prophetic. Their youth department used to have 40 days of fasting for nations, go on missions. The last time I went back to that church, the youth have become adults and they have left. And the pastor didn't have a youth ministry. They got rid of the pastor. So there's no youth church in that church anymore. Only grandmas and grandfathers. And I said to them, when these grandparents are not there, what happens to this big building? In their heydays, pastors flew from several places once every month. That place was packed full. If you don't come on time, you won't find a parking space. Yeah. They came to learn and they came to learn. You go there now, 2/3 of the place is empty. And I'm like, what's going on? And it's not just there. It's not just there. I have another friend. Even the man I just told you about in the land, he was so impacted by the resurrection of the mother. That woman lived another 6 years. After she was resurrected from the hospital, she lived 6 more years. 8 years. Good. Mark Moreka said, I'm going with you. My children will go to your place to go to school. I said, no. You can come, visit. But your children will go to school right here in your city. He said, no. I said, why? He said, there are demons that come as ghosts to testing university in the land. And the students talk about ghosts coming there. And he didn't want his children to go there. I said, let's go drive away the ghosts. He said to me, really? I said, let's go. Just tell me. And I went with him to Stetson University. And I went and I stood at the entrance of the university. I announced, let the strongholds of the ghosts and the demons that come here collapse. When I said that, 10 a.m. in the morning, a tree broke in his presence and fell. And inside that tree was a hollow, a meeting place of the spirits. I said, take me to the next place. It took me to a place that was supposed to be the chapel. They said, that ghost comes here. I said, really? So we went into the chapel. And I told anything called ghosts that from today, they are no longer allowed to come in there. And I raised an altar to the Ancient of Days to make the chapel God's place and not ghost's place. Yes, yes. And they never saw any ghost anymore. Not even a demon. So his children were free to go to the university there. Then he got excited. He said, there's a nearby city. It's called the House of Satan. That's the name of the city. There is no church in that city, in America. Not one church. It's called Casadega. He said, can you do something about it? I said, let's go. First, we will stop at the gate, make prophetic declarations. 2, we will change the name in the spirit. It will no longer be Casadega, it will be Casa Cristo. And then we will enter into the city. We raise an altar unto God and to Cristo, to make it the house of Christ. And he was excited. We did all of that. And then I entered into a new age shop where there's nothing godly but demonic. And as I stood in there, so Father, in the name of Jesus, I introduce your light very, very quietly. And I ask that your fire will come down. Your presence will come there. So we moved around, touched some books like I came to buy books. Saw some books, moved around. And then they called the police. that there are strange people inside this place, and they're messing up with everything in the shop. So the police came and then followed us up, asked for who the people who were causing the trouble were. They pointed towards our direction. So the police came. My friend Mike Morika said, they're coming after us. I said, did you do anything wrong? He said, no. I said, okay. So the police came around, gentlemen, how are you doing? We said, we're doing fine. He said, well, so they came second time, gentlemen, how are you doing? I said, you're doing fine. So I turned around and said, do you work in this shop? He said, no. It's okay. He said, but the owners of the shop don't want you anymore to be here. I said, no, we just came to shop. He said, no, they don't want you to shop. They want you to leave the store. We know what's going on. So we left the store. We went to a lake, and then we raised an altar and commanded all the lakes there, all the altars around the lake, and the altar in the graveyards, to bow to the altar that we have raised. We went to the entrance to the satanic campground, where 5,000 people come on camp meeting for Satan. And we raised an altar at that place. And as we did that, we found up to 5 police vehicles following us. So I asked Mike to stop. And let's find out what they're looking for. Michael said, they're looking for us. I said, for us? I said, park your car. So he parked his car, and we came out. And we're like, this one you're giving us unpaid escort. What's going on? And one of them said, we want to know who you are. I said to him, I hope you can handle that. I said, there are 2 worlds. One is in heaven, one is on earth. You operate in the physical. We operate in the 2 worlds, in the physical and in the supernatural place. We are pastors with a different, who set captives free, spiritual captives. But you are looking for physical people who are hurting so you can help them. We're looking for people who are suffering physically and spiritually so we can help them. So in a way, we do the same work, but in different realms. Can we help you? And my friend was like, tell them. And the policeman was polite. The policemen were polite, said, thank you very much, sir. But it looks like that the people you came to help don't need your help. They are calling our office and saying there are strange men in town. And we said to them, do we look strange? Anything strange about us? They said they don't see anything strange. I said, okay, fine. So, as we began to move, they called us. I said, are you natives of this town? We said, no. And he said, so where are you from? I said, Mike, please, could you answer all the questions? Mike said, we're from the neighboring town. Yeah, we just came around to visit. So, well, the people think your visit is causing some damage. You need to leave. I said, before we leave, let's destroy all the embargoes and structures of darkness. I held his hand and we stood and we made some decrees. We got inside the vehicle and we left. 2 days after, the Council of Casadega had an emergency meeting and decided that from now onwards, the embargo on church being planted here is lifted and the church is free to be planted. 2 days. And Mark Madika had arranged for a pastor to go there, and they rented a place. So up till now, that's a church in Casadega, the first and only church, because we went there. A city.